Good morning and welcome to the Reporting 101 webinar series for Eyefinity Practice Management. My name is David Silva. I'm the Curriculum and Instructional Design Specialist for Eyefinity. Today we will be covering dispensary and inventory reporting. All attendees are in muted mode in order to reduce background noise. If you wish to ask a question, please type your question in the chat feature and we will address it at the end. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Sarah Ouellette and Sue Fishel. Sarah is a product manager for Eyefinity Practice Management. She's been with Eyefinity for 6 years and has a long history in the eye care industry, including office administrator, billing specialist, optical dispensary manager, patient coordinator, and ophthalmic technician. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Biological Science and is a certified para-optometric and coding specialist. Sue has been working with Eyefinity for 7 years and has a background with call center support and training. She also has 11 years experience with Caterpillar as support and quality assurance. And now I'll turn it over to Sue, who will start us out this morning.
Thank you, David. First, we're going to take a look at our dispensary reporting. There's only 3 reports in this area, and we're going to be covering all 3 of them in some pretty depth information. And kind of show you where that data comes from and what settings and things that can happen in an order that can actually affect the reporting and how you can track those things. So, Sarah, if you want to pass me the ball. Okay. So there's a couple different ways, as you all know, how we can actually open reports. We can go to our reports and select our standard reports. Or if we're on the home page here, we can just go directly to My Reports tile. Our dispensary reports are here at the bottom. And as we spoke before, there's 3 of them. We're going to start out with our current patient orders report because that's probably the most important one. It shows you all of your open orders and allows you to print a report to reflect that information, whether it be an invoice order or in draft. Let's take a look. So here's our order types at the top, and there's 2. Your work in progress orders. If you want to see all orders out to a lab or vendor, use this particular option. And the date range is based on the promise date that was put onto the order at the time of it was created. So I'm going to run my report 1 month back. And there's many statuses here that you can actually select. So let's cover a couple of these. I first want to start out with our hold orders and our lab on hold orders. Now these orders are actually orders that haven't even left your office yet due to some reason. You may just want to review the on-hold orders so you can check the on-hold and lab order statuses to make sure that there's not a problem or something you can't fix real quickly. What's the difference between these 2? Lab on-hold status is orders that the system actually tried to process for you, and for some reason, due to an issue, the system has put it on hold. These orders would show red Skittles in the material orders, and we kind of all know what those little red Skittles are about, because the system couldn't process it and it kicked it back. Your hold status orders are orders that were not even invoiced. They were put on hold either by your staff or incomplete or just was never invoiced over to the pricing sheet. So this status would be orders that weren't even completed that haven't even made it out your door yet. So let's take a look at those. Your product types here are basically if you want to just see eyewear or if you want to see contact lens or both. So we're going to look at everything today. Let's run that report. So at this point, I have a smaller database. So I only have 1 order that is on hold. And as you can see, it shows the actual status. And this is because I have a problem with this order, and the system couldn't process it. We have our order number over here on the far left, and when that order was created, what type of order it is, the patient, any primary phone number information for that patient, what lab it is supposed to go to. And I can walk right down my list here and pull those orders up and find out what's actually going on with them. Okay. Let's look at some other order statuses here listed. You can select all and run your report for everything, or you can select individuals like I did with the hold and lab on status. Here's my in process. I might want to add that to the same report because it's sourced by order date, and we'll put the oldest at the top. So let's look at that. So here are all my orders that are in process. And as you can see, I have some old orders here to demonstrate what is actually, how the order actually comes on the report. It puts it in puts the oldest at the top, like I said. We have our patient information here. And these orders are in process. So they want to contact the lab and find out what's going on with the order, use this sheet to follow up with a patient account to see if there's anything there that gives an inclination of why this order is still marked in process. One good thing about this report, too, is it has a balance over here on the far right. And if this patient, Thomas Edison, would have had a balance on his account, still needing to pay on this order, it would have showed right here. So if you receive orders and you're getting ready to notify, you can use this report, or you can actually go back and use the received and notified report as well, because those options are listed here in the status. Here's my notified, here's my received, and those will show orders that have been marked received and need to be notified, the patients need to be notified, or it'll show the orders that are marked as notified and the patient just hasn't come back in yet. So you want to follow up on those as well. So here's my list, and as you can see, it identifies which ones are which. Once again, it orders them by the oldest order at the top. So you can start with your more critical orders right off the bat. The order numbers are available as patient's name and patient's primary phone number. And there's that balance column, too, to help us out when we have those balances that are owed. Luckily, it looks like our checkout girl is doing an awesome job collecting that before the patient actually ends and leaves the office. So if you keep your orders in a tray or a drawer, you can run this report and pull out those trays and start going through them and determine what exactly is the issue and why they're still in the office and haven't been dispensed yet. There's a couple of other statuses here I want to talk about as well. One of those being a delayed status. And what does that mean? If the lab calls you stating that they broke the lens or there's a problem with a delay in getting that order back to you on time as promised to the patient, then you can mark the orders delayed and put some reasons in there actually stating why it's delayed. Then contact the patient and explain what happened and let them know that their orders are going to take a little bit longer to come in. Let's look at ready status and what that means. The ready status means the order was never submitted electronically to the lab, and this can't happen. And when an order goes into ready status, one reason could be if a non-integrated lab was selected. So let me show you where that's at. So over in our administration side, under our company location, we have a lab set up here. We also have a tile for that. And as you can see, I have like 10 labs set up. And if one of those orders was placed with Truckee Meadows Optical, as you can see on the right here, it's not checked to submit those orders electronically. So your ready report in this current patient orders is kind of critical, because if you select the wrong lab, those orders are going to sit there and sit there and sit there until you actually come back and actually do a little bit of investigating and find out why that order is still not been picked up. It could be as simple as there's a setting that has been marked incorrectly, and we just either need to update the order to a new lab or manually place the order. Now, under your current patient orders here, we also have a draft order. Draft orders are orders that were saved but not completed. So either the order doesn't have a frame, or the order wasn't really completed and sent over to pricing. So these orders you want to make sure you follow up on either on a daily basis or a monthly or a weekly basis, not monthly, but a weekly basis. And your office manager or your lead technician can follow up, because after 30 days, these orders then are removed from the system. We have product types here where you can select eyeglasses and contact lenses. Let's take a look at that report. You'll get a list. Unfortunately, I only have one. And you need to determine what you want to do with the order. Is the patient just halfway through creating the order change their mind and is going to come back? So do you need to follow up with the patient? Do you still want this particular order of material? Or do we just need to delete it and move forward? We just don't want those orders to fall through the cracks. And once again, those orders for under draft are set that way when you close an order and you haven't even completed the order, or that order has not went to pricing to actually be invoiced. Okay. For our guests converting over from OfficeMates, this report here under your draft is kind of like that open charges report that you use over there. It tracks anything that has not been completed. So let's look at our patient remakes report. Our patient remake report is just that, any remakes that we've done in the system on those orders. We have 21 reasons here. RX entry error, made with wrong RX, patient change, or the doctor changed the RX. We also have some lens damages during adjustment. Let's say we were adjusting them for the patient and we damaged the lens or damaged the frame. That would cause a remake. And always lens material type change, that means that patient come back and said, you know what, those glasses really don't look very good on my face. Hot pink is not my color. So you could use this as a patient changing their mind and remake that order into different frames. Also down here you have some wrong frame supplied, frame damaged, some scratched if they come to you from shipping and the frame was scratched. So these are different types of remake reasons you can run your report on. Now I'm going to leave mine selected to all, but you don't have to. You can deselect all and only select the ones that you're really interested in, right? You may not have any other issues with any of the other remake reasons. You can sort this by staff name or by remake reason. Let's take a look at the report. So a lot of offices may use this report as an audit. How's my lab doing? Am I doing a lot of remakes because my material is coming in damaged? How is my staff doing when they do their adjustments? Are they not being careful enough with certain things that they're getting ready to dispense? So when you start seeing employee names on here that are the same, maybe that's an opportunity to do some training, or maybe there's a problem that you could do a little bit of coaching on to try and help that employee provide a little bit better service to the patient. So a lot of your remake reports are used for an audit type of use based on what those remakes are and how you use that in your office, how you want to use it. Our last report here is undelivered orders. It's pretty straightforward. You can enter a cutoff date. I'm going to leave my cutoff date as today. Basically what it does is it gives you a list of all orders not delivered by that particular cutoff date. Now, if the order status is updated after the cutoff date entered here, the order will show on the report. But if that order status is updated before this cutoff date, then that order will be excluded from the report. So those are two most important things about this report when you're selecting this date here. If orders are updated before the cutoff date, they'll not be included on the report. Okay. We have the show by orders here, and we'll explain in a moment what that's all about. And you can do insurance only or cash only. So I'm going to leave it on insurance only, and let's take a look at this report. Wow, 17 pages, that's quite a bit. Okay. So our report here is long because we don't normally go back and update statuses on our orders and work them clear through dispense. And the first time you run this report, it may be long for you too, until you can get some of those backlog cleaned up. So think of this report as a status update report. These are orders that are kind of lingering out there. They may be delivered, they may not be delivered or dispensed. Just kind of giving you full detail on what each order is about. Okay, so this first view of this report, I selected not to do any type of summary of the report. I want to see exactly what all that order was about because I have to do some detective work and clean this up. It has, you can also use this as a little bit of a financial report too because it does have what the patient paid, what your total sales was, anything outstanding, and information like that. You can have exam numbers over here on the far right. Okay, so let's take a look at the report, and we're going to do it in a summary view. And by doing that, you just check the box that says show by orders. Okay. So now it's only 3 pages, and that's a little bit more manageable to work with. As you can see, it's only lists the patient once, the order once. It doesn't give any details about the order. But it does still give you all the other information here as far as sales, tax, payments made, anything outstanding, things like that. Okay. So what is the best way to clean this up? My recommendation is to use our new feature that was delivered in 8.11, which is our order management. You can take this report and you can actually come to your order management. Now I went ahead and launched mine to save some time here, but it's basically launched directly from your menu drop-down bar here at the top under orders. And you go to order management, and this is the screen that comes up, the page that displays. You can list these by received only, notified only, or whatever's been delivered. You can go by promise date too. So if on your report you have a promise date, you can select that promise date, all of those will come up. Or you can go by status. If you really need to get down to the nitty-gritty, you can enter in the patient's name or the order number and search for that specific order. But by pulling it up here in order management, you can go right down this change status option, review the information, and click the drop-down and make a change of where this needs to be. And that's how you're going to clean up the report because it's kind of pulled from here. Okay. So that undelivered orders report will give you pertinent information on how to keep track of all of your orders, carrying them from order to dispense. Okay. And like I said, if you want to see everything per order, some folks like doing that, you just leave the checkbox unchecked in this criteria area. If you really want to use it in the best way, then check the box and go right down your list and start doing your cleanup. You do a couple of days, you have a huge report, and at the end of the week, then you'd have it all cleaned up. Okay. Sarah, that's pretty much all I had for today on these 3 reports.
Fantastic, Sue. Thank you so much for your demonstration on the ordering report. If you could pass me the ball, I'd like to review another category of reports today related to inventory. So I've got several things I'd like to show. If you could pass me the ball, I'll share my screen.
Trying to figure out how to do that.
Great, thank you. All right, so there are 2 different categories of inventory reports. Let's see here. We have inventory reports that are found within our front office reporting, but we also have another area for inventory reports within the inventory module itself. I'd like to focus on the front office reports first, specifically my favorite report, which is the inventory valuation. And this report can be run by frames by collection if you select this checkbox here. Or you can just see a standard list of frames in alphabetical order if you don't want to see them by specific manufacturer collection. I prefer to group it by collection so I can see very specific detail about what I have in the dispensary. And there are a couple of reasons why you would want to run this report. So if you are using the inventory module and completing physical counts in the system, then you will be able to use these inventory reports. Now, if you haven't completed a physical inventory count using the inventory module, then a lot of these reports aren't going to provide you with any detail. Activating and pricing frames is not going to get you this level of information about your dispensary and the inventory that you have within the practice. You do need to go through the process of creating a physical count in inventory first, and then we will keep track of all of your sales moving forward once you have completed that first inventory in the system. And this inventory valuation report is dated for today, so it's going to include all frames that we believe, based on your last physical inventory count, that you have within your practice. And when we group it by collection, it's going to tell us, okay, here are your BBs, here are your Calvin Kleins that are ophthalmic, here are the sunglasses that you have, here are your Kate Spades within this practice. And this is a really good report to use when you're meeting with your frame rep. So if you have frame rep appointments where the frame rep comes in and you're trying to determine if there's anything that you want to return, if you want to purchase new frames from that rep, this is a really good report to use because it will give you what we believe you have on hand and what the actual cost is for those frames that you have within your dispensary. It will also give the doctor or the office manager a view of the total cost associated with all of the frames within your dispensary. So with this format that we've selected, it's going to give us the total for each collection, what the value of that collection is, and then the overall value of your dispensary. So within this example office, we only have 74 frames with a total value of $5,700+. So this gives you a full view of what you have sitting in your dispensary and what the total value of that is. It will also give you the count and the specific UPCs for those frames that you have within the system. That is a great report to run for a multitude of reasons. If you want to use this meet with the frame rep, or if you want to know what you currently have on hand, this is a great way to see that information. Now, if you want to see what frames you've actually sold within any given time frame, there is an inventory report called Frame Sales by Item, and you can run this by date range. So if you wanted to see what's been sold within the month, you can do that. You can say, I want to see it by the full year of 2018. You can select specific collections. So if you wanted to have a report of your frame sales, you're meeting with a frame representative, and you want to be able to see what has actually sold within any given time frame since the last time you met with your rep. You could do that. If you select the Show Detailed Line Items, it's actually going to break it down and show you each frame style that has sold, and it will give you count the number of frames per month that have actually sold. So you can see the turn rate of those frames within the dispensary. So this would be a really good report for you to use if you want to determine what should be reordered. And this will give you visibility to that, the success of sales for a particular manufacturer, particular frame, and a color even. It'll break it down by color. Now, there isn't a lot of data in this specific practice, but just a good example of what is possible. If I wanted to do it by a date range, it will break it down in a different view. And so this view will give us, okay, so for the month of August, we've only had 5 total frame sales for this net sales dollar amount. And it breaks it down and will organize it by collection for you. And this is another way that you could review and determine what frames are successful within the dispensary. So those are the 2 key inventory reports within front office. Now there are several other reports within the inventory module itself. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inventory side. So when you launch the inventory module, there is a tab for reporting. And there are a multitude of reports here that can be run. And they are all tied specifically to inventory activity that has been completed in the system. And like I mentioned, the physical inventory counts must be completed in order for any of these reports to be accurate and allow you to run them so you can see data. So within this practice, there have been a couple of physical inventory counts that have been completed. So we've done Maui Jim, Kate Spade, and then we also did a full dispensary count in the beginning when this practice first went live, so that we have an accurate count of everything that was in the dispensary. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first report, which is a reconciliation by collection. And this basically will give you the opportunity to select the last physical inventory that you had completed by date. So there are 2 different physical inventories that have been completed. I'm going to go ahead and select the 14. And this is going to give me a list of all the things that were part of that count. So it will break it down by collection here. So this first page is Kate Spade. And it's going to give you the actual location. So in inventory, you can define each location that you're counting. What that means is you could have certain things defined, like I have a women's dispensary case, I have a kids dispensary case, I have a high fashion dispensary case, I have a Maui Jim case. You can define those and then complete counts specifically to that location if you want to complete your physical inventory that way. Otherwise, you can create just one generic location that says, you know, full dispensary, and complete all of your counts within one location. And this gives us a view of everything that was scanned in during the physical inventory count for each collection, not location. And it will give you an item status based on the manufacturer information. So this is a really good report to use, again, if you're meeting with your frame reps, because if you've got a lot of things that our frame specs or Jobson information is giving us, saying that these frames are now discontinued, you may want to consider returning those products to your frame rep and having them replace it with something that is not discontinued. It'll also give you the total count that has been completed by whoever counted the inventory, and give you an idea of what you have by frame, model, and color and eye size. And then it will give you a total count for each collection at the bottom. So this is a really good report once that physical inventory has been completed. Now, the physical inventory valuation detail report is also tied specifically to a physical inventory. When I generate this guy, it's going to give us the value, the perceived value based on wholesale cost for that physical inventory that you have completed. So it gives the same information by collection and model, color, eye size, and also give you the wholesale cost associated with that frame and give you a grand total of what the perceived value is for each collection that you have on hand within your dispensary. We'll also provide a sum total for you at the bottom of the total value of all frames within the dispensary. So this could be highly valuable to the doctor or practice owner to see what they actually have purchased and what is sitting out in the dispensary that hasn't yet sold. Now let's take a look at the inventory status report. Now this can be grouped and filtered and arranged by a multitude of different things. You can view things by gender, you can view things by age group, you can view things by specific collection. I'm going to leave everything selected as all. You can take a look at the standard view of the report. And let me blow this one up for you. So this inventory status report is going to give you a view of everything that you have on hand. So it's going to give you your total on-hand count for each frame, and then it's going to break it down by gender and age group, as well as there are capabilities for our multi-location customers where you can transfer frames from one location to another. So we'll show you if you have something in transit. So if you were moving, let's say, a couple of Maui gym frames to your second location, it would show that those are in transit and not actually in the practice itself in this dispensary, but they are being moved to another location. And this also gives you the active or discontinued information. That's highly valuable if you are in need of meeting with a frame rep to purchase new and exchange products. And there are a couple of other inventory reports that are fantastic. And the frame sales by vendor by collection is a great one. And you can define this by year if you'd like, or you can select a specific vendor. So if you're meeting with a rep and you want to pull that list of frames that have sold for any particular vendor that you're meeting with or frame rep, this is a great report to run. And this is going to break it down just like we saw in front office. This one's a little nicer from a formatting perspective, but it's going to break it down by manufacturer and then show you the specific collections under that manufacturer and then give you totals that have sold. This is also a great report to use if you're evaluating specific manufacturers or vendors to see, okay, I've got 30 frames that have been sitting on the board all year, nothing has sold. That's alarming and probably something you should discuss with the frame rep and maybe exchange all of that product and bring something new into the practice. So this report would help you determine that. And lastly, the frame sale by style. This can be run by year also and by individual collection. And you can select show a detailed view. I prefer the detailed view just so I can see the unique frames. And this looks very similar to the front office reporting as well, where it breaks it down by collection and then the unique frame styles that have sold. So you can see what is successful and what you should repurchase and reintroduce into the dispensary. Now with that is the end of my presentation on inventory reporting. I'm going to turn it over to David to see if there are any folks on the phone that have any questions or clarifying questions about what Sue or myself have reviewed today. So let's turn it over to David.
Yeah, I currently don't see any questions that came in at all. Now's your last chance. If you have any questions, please shout them over. All right, it looks like a pretty quiet group today, so looks like we are done then. So Sarah and Sue, thanks so much for all that awesome info, and thanks to all of our attendees for being here with us today. We'd love to see you in Phoenix in October at our education conference, where you can take a 2-day deep dive into iFinity practice management. You can register at ifinity.com. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you next week for our session on claims management reporting. We'll see you guys. Hope to see you guys there.